All right, everybody. Ed Diaz, your boy Ed Diaz here. Hopefully, you had a great Thanksgiving without too much family drama. I'm here with I'm here with Ben Gibbs, one of the most deep, in thought, aware people I know. And you guys know I know a lot of people. So, Ben, my gosh, here we are, man. Rounding 2023, almost the end. By the way, it's Friday, November 24th, day after Thanksgiving. And so much has happened. And you know what? We see you. We're right there next to you. We've gone through a lot of stuff this year too. Boy, talk about the gift that keeps on giving. It seems like after COVID, before COVID, it just never stops, right? It's something new. It's either the war or Israel and Hamas, or it's the other wars. It's the economy. It's COVID. It's this. It's that. It's
interest rates.
Interest rates. Oh my gosh! It's just been one thing after another, right? It just never stops. However, there's a great saying that says that bad times don't last, or tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so today we're going to just talk a little bit about, the hustle and the daily grind. I know towards the end of the year, it's typically everybody's exhausted, right? Just ready to slide into the holidays and have a good time, not have to worry about too much stuff, and just kind of reset. And then go into January, all the gyms are back with a ton of people for 2 weeks.
The new memberships start.
Yeah, the new memberships spike hard, man. Everybody's in the gym for like 2 weeks, and then it's empty again, but everybody's doing their New Year's resolutions.
All the New Year's resolutions that are going to go into effect.
Man. Yeah. So tell me your thoughts, man. I mean, you've been through a lot of stuff this year, too. What have been kind of the things you've learned this year, and things that we can maybe impart to the rest of the people so that you don't feel alone, because you know you're not. We're all going through it. I mean, it seems like this is the first time, I think, in history, man, where we're all going through it, no matter where you're at on this spinning pebble called Earth. Everybody's going through something.
It's wild, man.
Right? Things have changed a lot.
Yeah. Persistence and patience, right? Like, I'd say persistence comes easy to me, but patience doesn't. I'm trying to figure out how to marry those two together,
The patience part?
The patience part.
Oh, man, you know what? Having a kid really taught me how impatient I really am.
Yeah, me too. And likewise, I haven't, everybody who knows me, I got a 19-year-old, and it's tough, man. Life is challenging, and it's going to challenge you every single day. That's what I've learned, is that there is no day off, really.
Yeah, it's like parenting, right? There is no day off. There's no pay. There's no day off. No. There's no taking time off or taking a nap. Nothing like that, man. Do you subscribe to the whole model that when times get tough, you get tougher, kind of thing? And if so, I mean, like, what does that mean?
Absolutely.
And, like, for you, what does that mean? Because you're a very insightful guy, man.
Well,
you've always been aware.
When times get tough, that induces fear in me. When I get fear in me, I start to react and do things. So I would say that when times get tough, I see it. I try to get out in front of it. I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
Sometimes that, trying to toughen up and get out in front of things can be good. Sometimes you got to realize that there's some things you can't control. I try to control everything, and that's a problem sometimes. So I would say that you got to control what you can and let go of what you can't. But when times get tough, I get a sense of fear that motivates me to try to do things, right? Like, don't just huddle down and burrow away from it, but try to get out in front of it.
So you use fear kind of like a motivator, then, whereas most people or a lot of people use fear as kind of a crippling agent.
Absolutely.
Right?
Fear is a huge motivator for me.
I mean, look, everybody goes through fear, right? So that's the human part, is feeling it and feeling the fear. The part that is not good, which it's a slippery slope you got to be really careful with, is allowing fear to be a weapon that destroys you. We all feel it. We're all going to go through it. Fear, all these feelings, right? Happiness, joy. Everybody goes through that. The question is, what do you do with it? In this case, like, Ben uses fear as a motivator. Now, for me, like, I have processes, right? I have a process for everything. For me, one of my processes is that when I wake up in the morning, it is rare, news at 11 here, that I wake up just feeling like a ton of, there's petals of
I have lots
roses
of, I have lots
going,
of
you know,
anxiety, Ed.
just throwing. Yeah, right, exactly. I wake up
Yeah.
typically, so you guys know, with negative thoughts. It's just like, oh my gosh, how's my day going to go? So what I've done is I developed a process where I don't make major decisions until after 11 o'clock. I know it sounds weird, but I've literally just really dissected like my day and how I feel and emotions over years, right? And then determine that, you know, that kind of 11 o'clock ish is kind of like the witching hour for me. Do you have something like that you use, or what do you use?
I go the opposite. I make decisions probably before I should.
Ah,
I got to work on that too.
so you feel,
I get up in the morning and I'm trying to do everything before
right
11
away.
a.m. Yeah.
Well, and some people say, you know, especially coaches, they'll say, oh, you know what, dude, all the tough stuff that you hate, get it out of the way first thing. I don't know. I think, look, there's not one shoe size fits all, right? Everybody's different. But for me,
Absolutely.
like, I can't.
Yeah.
Because then it just sets me off because I'm already in negative mode, right?
Mhm.
For me, it's like, I got to put this thing into gear and get rid of all that stuff first.
Right.
Right. And gym is always really good, right? Going to the gym and getting that stuff out of the way because you can hear good stuff while you're working out and get yourself into that zone. But I can't just start doing
Right.
stuff I hate right away. I'm
Right.
just not that guy.
Well, for me, it's been like a lot of shifts and a lot of like figuring out how to prioritize things because there's a lot I want to get done and there's a lot I have to do in certain hours, right? Based on what I'm trying to accomplish.
Do you do a to-do list or how do you do it? Just mental?
It's just mental. I can't. I've thought about doing. I've tried to do to-do lists.
Yeah.
I usually tackle some of it. Some of it doesn't get done. It goes over to the next day. That's why I feel like lists are just kind of like ongoing. For me, it's like, you know, I'm trying to do cold calls at a certain hour, and so that's tough, right? So but I know I need to take care of myself too and focus on me first. But it's a difficult thing to try to balance because I'm definitely trying to accomplish things in a certain time period at a certain time. So it's about prioritizing what I'm trying to do and how I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah, I use a combo of my calendar and then I do a 3x5 card, you know, the good analog way, which is I write typically the top 5 things that I got to get done. Like these are you can't compromise. These things got to get done. These 5 things have to get done. I usually put those in a 3x5 and just put it right on my laptop because otherwise I'm gonna forget, man.
Right.
So many things. You know, the emails come in here. They come. Text messages, the phone calls, and the calls that I gotta make, and then the priority. Right. If I don't do that, man, I'm done. But like the top things, like my top, I would say top 2 things that I need to get done, I put them on my calendar.
Okay.
I put it on calendar with a notification because if I don't, dude, I'm telling you, it just won't get done. It just gets too crazy.
Well, what's your morning like when you get up?
So I get up I typically will get up at 4:30, right? Yeah. I get up at 4:30, and then that time is just, if I can, I grab a cup of coffee. I do intermittent fasting, so I don't really eat until about 11.
Okay.
Is my first meal, right? So I'll do that, and then, you know, depending on the weather and stuff, because if it's too cold, it's kind of hard, man. You look at 56, it's kind of hard to go to the gym super early because the joints aren't exactly happy at that time.
That's a tough one, right?
It's a tough one, right? So I try to get to the gym, I'd say probably by 7, 8 o'clock, right? If I can, which, not if I can, I make it happen, right? You got a calendar, that kind of stuff. And literally, if you go into my phone, guys, you'll see gym time. It's in my calendar. Like, I've set it for 2 years. It's in there. It's in the calendar, right? Like picking up my son from school, that's in there.
It's too. Like rent, it's due. You got to do it.
Boom, boom. But it's in my calendar, so I have a reminder, right?
And that's
at
where
this
I'm trying
time,
to get.
this is what I got to do. And, you know, look, it's, if you guys haven't seen the show, The Profit, right? It's people, process, and products is really the trifecta of business. I kind of use that model, right? I have a process for everything. Like I mentioned, I don't really make major decisions in the day until after 11 o'clock. Because by then I've already sifted my emotions. I'm already like in the zone. I'm feeling good about the day. I've gotten rid of all the muck, and I do my best to not really watch, even though, you know, I cheat. You know, I watch news sometimes, right, just on my apps. But I try to stay away from all the negativity because, look, at the end of the day, I really don't have a lot of control over what's going on, you know, with wars and all this other stuff, the economy. What I can do is watch it and monitor it, right? Especially because I'm in the mortgage business. So I'm watching rates and I'm watching a lot of technical data so that I can coach my clients into when to lock in the interest rates. But I can't control what the Fed is doing and what Chairman Powell's thinking. And Is
No
he going
way.
to pass in December on another, federal funds rate hike, which I think he is. We've seen rates coming down.
What's your
And that's a
overall
good
feeling
thing.
on interest rates, Ed? With
Yeah, I said this about 8 months ago, that one of the things and I understand that, look, Chairman Powell's trying to choke this economy through labor, because, the thinking is this: if you don't have a job, you're not going to spend. And if you don't spend, then, that's going to bring down, obviously, inflation. What I think is different this time around, that I don't think it's so linear in that thought process, is the fact that just because you're employed doesn't mean you're going to start to spend. I think a lot of people, at least people that I know, are hoarding money
holding back.
because, yeah, man, they're afraid. Even people
Right.
making good money, they're just socking it away, because we saw during the pandemic, man, if you weren't liquid and you didn't have savings, you were kind of screwed, right? So I think a lot of that is going on. The other part is that we're seeing we reached over $1 trillion now of credit card debt. A lot of people are living on credit cards.
That's a big one.
Dude, that's
big
a
one.
huge
So
one.
so here's an interesting one, Ed. Here's an interesting one. So I've heard that banks are. I mean, you know more about credit than I do, but they typically sometimes tend to just do sort of random, looking at your credit score and saying, wow, your debt to income ratio, your usage is a bit too high. We're going to go ahead and take that $4,500 limit, drop it down to a $1,500 limit. Have you seen this happen to people?
Happening more and more.
More and more, right?
That's been going on since I've been in banking, and that's, I've been
Right.
in banking
And that's
for
new
years.
to me, but like, because
Or raise your rate. That's the other thing too, because what they're saying is now you fit a different risk profile.
That's what it is. It's
Right?
a risk assessment, right? So they're looking at it
Well,
like
supposedly,
you
right?
make
Yeah.
all your payments and you've been
Mhm.
doing well, but we're a little bit
They're still
nervous
gonna
on your
mitigate it.
usage because times are tough.
Yeah,
per
I
se,
mean,
as-
you can fight that thought process to say, hey, okay, all right, come on, this is just an excuse, it's a money grab, right?
Right.
Most of the time, it is a money grab. They just want to raise rates
right.
to get more money, right? But yeah, that's been going on for a long time. But people are living more and more off of credit cards, and I think we haven't seen the repercussions of that yet, because I think for the most part, most of that $1 trillion has not hit their credit limits. Because what happens at some point, man? You hit the credit limit, then what?
What happens with
You can't charge anymore. So then what happens? We're going to start to see. I think we're going to start to see bankruptcies,
Okay.
or greater bankruptcies. We'll start to see
More. You think we're going to see
more people having to sell their homes because
versus foreclosures? You're saying
because their debt to income ratio is too high. They
will
don't
people
have
be
the money.
smart enough to sell and get out, or will they let it go to default, or what's going to happen?
Well,
Like, if
okay,
times get real tough,
that's actually a fantastic question,
Right?
And I'm going to tell you why. Because most people think about it, man. Part of the human condition is denial for a lot of us, right? We're in denial about things, and I think to that, and to your question, I think what we'll see is, instead of people selling, I think they'll start to default. They'll start to default and then maybe do short sales. Well, not short sales, because they're not going to be short. Because if you look at the amount of equity, I mean, we have the highest amount of equity, I think, in history. Now,
Right.
In the history of the United States, the amount of equity is astronomical. But here's the problem. It's like having a safe with $1 million in it in cash, but you don't have the key or the
that's kind of like
code, right,
that's
to
kinda
get into it. So that's what equity is like in a home.
Have you heard of these crypto situations where people are like, I've got $200 million worth of crypto on this thumb drive right here, but I don't know the code to get into.
Oh,
I've heard one.
Remember that one guy? Yeah, that one guy.
I
He
heard
didn't have the
about
code.
it.
I don't know if
couldn't
he ever
believe it.
solved it, but can you imagine, dude?
Can you imagine?
So I'm thinking, this is what's going to happen, because how are you going to access that equity if you're over levered, right? Your debt to income ratio, which is a major factor
Like the
used
bank's
in
not going to let you pull a
underwriting.
HELOC, right? They're not going to let you pull a HELOC if they look at your credit, even if you're, I don't know, let's say you're over 7 on your credit score, but your usage is still high. They're not.
Well, and your debt to income ratio. Look, if your debt to income ratio is over 50%, good luck. That's not going to happen. Right. You're not going to get an equity line of credit. And so, when I started banking when I was 21 years old, I'm 56 now. I will tell you that my regional manager said something to me that was very poignant. He said, look, banks don't give money to people who need it. They give it to people who don't need it when they don't need it, because that way they're not risky. So equity lines of credit, by the way, if you're watching this and you're doing okay and you own a home, you should have an equity line, because here's the truth. You're going to only pay to play. What does that mean? That you only pay interest on what you use. So you have it when you don't need it, because by the time you need it, you're too risky to the lender, and they're not going to give it to you. So be assertive, right? Let's play offense. Get that equity line, have it in case of a rainy day, because you never know. And it's going to be cheaper money than credit cards. That's for sure. I mean, I'll tell you right now, the people who are refinancing, I mean, if you're watching and you have a lot of credit card debt and your credit scores are still good and you're making pretty good income, there's no reason why you should brag about having a really great rate on your mortgage, but then you have a 22, 25, or 27% on credit cards. I have a classic example, client who had a 4% rate on his mortgage, but he had $95,000 in credit card debt at an average of 25%.
Yikes.
So yes, we refinanced at 6.5, but get this, his 6.5 mortgage overall, big picture, zooming out, saved him over $1,300 a month. So you got to look at the big
So
picture.
what you're saying, the 30,000 foot view is sometimes 6.5 is not so bad when you're refinancing. If you're refinancing,
If
all
you're
this debt,
refinancing
right?
everything,
That's what I mean.
Because at the end of the day,
because
look,
6.5
how do you
is better
pay?
than 29%.
Well, yeah,
right?
because we're looking at dollars.
Right.
Stop looking at rate. Look at dollars. How much money is going out versus how much is coming in? If you have a great rate on a mortgage, but you have all this credit card debt at high rate, how much is the total dollar outlay? In this case, it was over $1,300 too much. That's what you look at, right? You don't look at just go to a party and brag about your 4% mortgage when you have $95,000 at 25%. That doesn't make any sense, right? So you got to look at and zoom out, big picture, financial planning. You got to look at your overall finances. You know, now is the time where we're all going to look at that, right? We're all going to be very introspective and determine what is it that we're going to do different. You know, for me, you know, embracing minimalism is definitely something that I'm going to do more of. You know,
That's what I'm working towards.
You know, I have this watch collection. You know, I'll be fully transparent. I own a ton of watches, and I never wear
flipping
them.
watches now, Ed? What's going on?
I probably will, because look,
Watch mastery.
I have all these watches and I never use them, dude.
It's like they're
For
collectibles
what?
that are sitting in your house.
And to brag to what? Look, here's the truth: is if you have to brag to people, then those aren't your friends. Because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind, right?
Absolutely.
Look, Ben and I having just a simple cup of coffee. You know, we do this a lot. We're just immortalizing this date because it's the day after Thanksgiving, and it's a good time to kind of wrap up 2023 together. But you know, we sit down and talk about things all the time, and that's what's important. I think at the end of the day, you're going to remember the times with the right people, right?
Yeah.
Who's your tribe? That's the other part too of this, is reassessing who is really in your tribe, because those who are for you will go towards you when times get tough, as opposed to away from you and not return calls or not ask how you're doing. I mean, how many of your friends actually check in with you to find out how you're doing? You know what I mean? We check in all the time. How you doing, Ben? Right? You check in with me. I mean, you don't have to coach people to do that when they're part of your tribe. They just do it instinctively. And if they're not doing that, then maybe you have to reassess your relationship. Find out who is really a friend. Are your people calling you only when they need stuff? Right? Disguising that call. Hey man, it's been so long, just call and check in. You know, at the end, right? Here it comes, right? Here it comes at the very, before we hang up, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Let me get that sales pitch.
yeah. Hey, you got some money, or you know what? Look, I got this new job and I'm selling this, whatever, right? But you haven't heard from them in ages, but now all of a sudden they're checking in, disguising it as a check-in call. No, it's not. Right, let's be honest. You know, the older we get, that's the beauty of the wisdom we start to accumulate, and we find out who's who really quickly. We almost become kind of like FBI profilers,
right?
We know like in 2 seconds, man. So tell me about 2024. What's that look like for you, Ben? What is like a couple things that you think you're going to change?
Well, you know, I just I feel like I'm putting so much into. You know, when I want something, I want it more than anything, right? And I go all.
Are you one of those guys that when you grab on, and you're like a pit bull grabbing on a piece of meat on a rope?
I'm 12 hours a day, 6 days a week right now, and I got to figure out.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to balance things out, because I want my on-market game, I want my off-market game, and what do I mean by that? I want my cake and I want to eat it too, but I'm hungry and I go for it every single day. I want to get listings. I want to help people solve problems. I know that 2024 is going to be big for that. There's going to be a lot of people that are, as you said, as interest rates come down, I think there's a marker where you said like 6.5 is probably
The needle mover.
The needle mover.
It's the emotional needle mover.
Right.
Let's be honest, right? Hey, by the way, guys, 2 and 3%, they're not coming back.
It's not happening.
And not in our lifetime.
No.
I'm just telling you right now. That was QE, quantitative easing money.
Yeah.
That was money that the government infused, right, to get the economy going. But it was also, unfortunately, it was what caused inflation. Because think about it. At 2 to 3%, everybody's in, right? Everybody's buying stuff. And so what ends up happening is that it creates this unrealistic expectation that the party's never going to stop and the liquor's always going to be free, the food's going to be free, right?
Gonna be flowing.
Everything's always free, right, Ben?
Always going to be flowing.
And that's not the case. Now we're paying it with high inflation. And of course, it got away from the Fed. They should have been, in my opinion, been raising rates a little bit a long time ago, as opposed to just hammering us at the last minute with these big interest rate hikes because the dog got off the leash and went and bit another dog, right? That's essentially what happened. And so it got away from them, and so we're paying the price now. But I do believe we're going to turn the corner. And what do I mean by that? I do believe we'll be in the sixes. I'd say probably end of Q1.
Okay.
Q2, I think the Fed's going to skip December
we're
for
all
the federal
holding-
funds
we're all
rate.
holding
I know,
you
hey,
to
but
that.
hey, go look at my other videos, man.
Yeah.
I did say rates
No,
were going to come down.
yeah, you
And
did.
look, they are coming
They are.
down.
No, they
Now,
are.
look,
They're
has it
taking-
been linear? No,
No.
it has not. It's been a
But
roller
there's
coaster.
ticks.
It's been,
There's ticks down that
dude,
are.
it's been brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, look, at some point, a month or two ago, so we're in November, September, October-ish, we reached, in the mortgage business, we reached a 27-year low with loan originations. That means the volume of loans reached a 27-year low. I've been in the business 23. So that
What does that
exceeds
tell you?
my whole career by 4
What does that
years.
tell you?
Dude, it's unprecedented. And we all know this, right? I'm preaching to the choir. You all know that we've gone through, in the last 5 years, through things that planet Earth has just not seen. We are literally living history pages. We are in the history books, Ben.
We are.
We've
It's-
gone through stuff that
We're at
we
such
have
an
not
inflection
seen.
point. It's
Big time. But,
Yeah.
you know, like, again, like I started this video, the saying is, you know, that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I think that that's what we have to do. We got to kind of pull up our big boy pants and determine what kind of life do you want in 2024, right? What are you going to do? Are you going to make excuses or create results? You can't do both.
I like
right?
that. There
And
you
it's
go.
not to preach, but I think part of that is aligning yourself with the right people, right? People who are going to lift you up, or people that you can join forces with and collaborate, and both. Because I personally, man, I guess it's part of the residue of being an only child. I don't like doing stuff by myself. I don't. I like the collaboration.
That's
I like,
interesting.
let's go into war together,
right. Yeah.
as opposed to
Strength
just
in
being
numbers,
the
right?
sniper, right?
Right.
No, I want to be part of the army.
Well, that's what I'm working on right now. I'm working with a group of guys. So it's like I said, I'm excited about on market. I'm excited about off market. I'm working with a group of guys right now that are, you know, it's great to have them because they're so good at what they do and they're teaching me so much so fast. It's like hard to keep up, right? But in a good
By the
way.
way, I didn't say this, but Ben's in the real estate market.
Yeah.
That's what he's.
If you guys didn't know,
mentioning. Yeah.
if you never know,
Yeah, give him your info real quick so that
Yeah.
they know who you are.
yeah, Ben Gibbs Real Estate with Real Broker. I'm in San Francisco, SF Bay Area. I cover the entire SF Bay Area. I can solve your problems. You just got to give me a call. I don't know what I don't know. We have to have a conversation. There's no good cookie cutter solutions.
Yeah.
You know, your situation is going to be different than everybody. So
Yeah, and I'm
That's-
glad that you said that because
Yeah.
sometimes people treat real estate as if it's a one size
Size
fits
fits all.
all, and
Yeah,
it's
they-
not. You know,
from the
everybody's got
retail end,
different
so they look at like you're a broker. You're an agent or whatever, and
It's like mortgages too, man.
Yeah.
Oh, everything's a 30-year fix.
No,
it's
it's
not. Not necessarily. And not necessarily. Look, if you're going to be moving to Seattle and you know that for a fact in 5 years, and then maybe let's talk about a 7-year fixed adjustable rate mortgage, right? That's fixed for the first 7 years, just to give you an example. So the nice thing is that we customize everything, right, to your situation. And I believe, look, and I've always said this, December is one of the slowest months of the year in real estate, but it's also one of the great times for opportunity. Why? Because it's slow. Your competition
absolutely
is out. They already have holiday-itis. It's a great time to find a deal. You know, it's call Ben and see what he can find for you in December. Plus, here's the other part. Let's talk about the tax part. If you wait till January, then you have to wait a whole year pretty much to be able to write off all the mortgage interest, the property taxes, and the closing costs. Whereas if you do in December, you're filing it for 2023. those write-offs are happening right now.
You got to think about the timing, right?
So,
it's all, with taxes and stuff, it's
totally
all about timing.
You do it in 2024, you got to wait, right? The whole year to write that off. But there's strategies. And again, it's aligning yourself with the right people. And I think if you're still in that place where you're going through tough times and you're going through, emotional ups and downs, one of the greatest ways is, and this is going to sound kind of strange, but counterintuitive, is to make phone calls and help somebody else who's going through that. There's something about
that's why
helping other people while you're going through it that just makes things better.
Dude, when I cold call people, I have conversations on the phone. I mean, it is the wildest thing, cold calling.
Oh, I can just imagine some of the conversations you have, right?
I mean, I have like crazy voicemail greetings. Like this one, I tell my partner about it still. It's like we were cold calling Texas, and this voicemail greeting, it was the funniest thing. It was like all this ambient music came on, and then you hear this is a couple seconds lead up, and then this guy says, "You have reached the void. Leave a message and let space decide." And it was just you're doing all this stuff, and it's like you're getting rejected, and you're getting yelled at, and you're having some decent conversations, and you get that. And at the end of the day, you're just kind of like, you just laugh, because you're just like, what the? This is wild. I can't believe what I'm stumbling on here. It's just interesting stuff like that. And then you just have like, interesting conversations with people that maybe don't lead to, to an outcome just yet, but like it's an interesting conversation, right?
That's a good one,
right? It's always
right now doesn't mean no forever.
Oh, you have to get
no now becomes a yes.
The elk gets away from the lion 9 times out of 10. That's sales, right? Like you don't pick up the phone. That's the perception is you pick up the phone, you make a couple calls, you hold open some doors, you cash some checks, you close deals. That's the perception of real estate.
Like no.
If you ever want to see what it's like, just come to my house at 5 a.m. and I'll walk you through a full day. You know
what I like about what you said is that it implies the nurturing of relationships. Look, at the end of the day, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? You just continue to nurture. You continue to nurture. A no today is not a no tomorrow. And the people who persist are the ones who come out on top. It's an ageless adage. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
The CNN interviews and the news media interviews of people who have. I was watching. I don't know if you've seen this on Netflix, man. The show Conor McGregor. The fighter.
Yes, I know. I think I started it.
Dude, I mean, like the stuff that
I know his story, and it's wild.
I mean, the guy grew up in Ireland in the slums, right? And then becomes,
pretty much bullied.
And the dude is like, 155 pounds, 5'9". It's not like he's a colossal guy. But look, becomes one of the greatest in that sport.
Mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. And that guy
totally did.
That guy can spin kick your head off.
Right, exactly. But but that came, and he wasn't born that way. I mean, sure, he was born with some innate talent, but he had to develop it, right? That's the whole point of this. Is like when we started out a conversation, I said, "Hey man, so how's the hustle?" And you asked me, "Hey, how's it going?" And I said, "Hey man, just fighting the good fight." That implies the hustle. That's every day. Look, I'm in my 50s and I'm still hustling hard. I don't take my foot off the pedal. I just don't.
Yeah.
I think part of it is because of my nature, but the other part is because I know that I have to nurture success. That is not something that just you're entitled to.
Yeah.
That it's going to be easy, right?
That's what I'm learning is once you set the goal and you have the goal, you go with the intention, and you realize I'm climbing Mount Everest over here, man. This is not, and as long as you can't quit. That's the thing. There is no stopping. You have days where you feel beat up, and sometimes you're the hammer and sometimes you're the nail. It's another thing I learned from my partner, John. Got to be the hammer more than you're the nail, and it's like and there's just days though, man, where there's days where I just felt like, what am I doing? What's going on? And then you have days where you're just like, this is starting to come together. The pieces are fitting, and then it just is, but it is what it is.
Isn't it funny how it always does end up that way?
Right.
You keep pushing.
But the fear kicks in. Oh no, what's happening? What am I doing? What am I not doing right? What am I doing wrong? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And then you just got to realize, like, this is all part of the process, man. Your struggle, you're not understanding and not knowing, feeling, having all those feelings of, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say here. I don't know what's going on. I'm not good enough for this or whatever that is. That's all negative self-talk.
The voices.
You have to get rid of that.
BS, by the way.
That's one thing I learned from there's a couple mentors that I follow, and you got to have an abundance mindset. You always got to be thinking like There's another thing that my partner John taught me. I've closed that deal before I got on the phone. I listened to him, and he's like, it's already done. It's already done.
Yeah.
He'll tell you straight up. I don't care if the house is on the moon. I'll close it. He's relentless. He is relentless.
Well,
and he fires me up, and I'm like, I get up in the morning and I'm just like, splash some cold water on my face, like, let's go. You know what I mean?
Well, especially now, man, where everything has gotten so expensive, dude. Eggs, everything is like through the roof, and it's not
$7 for a loaf of bread, dude, bro. I mean, what do you?
Everything. I mean, you have to. And I love one of the, you know me, man. I love a lot of sayings, but one of the sayings is, you either break down or you break through.
There's a good one.
You got to break through, because look, it's not going to come back down. We might see maybe a little cheaper, but not much. I mean, usually when the bar set here, it usually doesn't come back down. It usually keeps climbing, right? Things get more expensive over time. But, you know, it takes a lot of hustle, and you got to do that. I think the piece that people though miss is that they make it a Lone Ranger journey, meaning that they just do it by themselves. I think there's so much power in synergy, right?
Absolutely.
1 + 1 = 4, right? Because I'll be honest, for me, I just feel like I could do more with you, Ben, than if I did by myself.
Absolutely. And that's what's happening.
Plus, we get to also nurture each other emotionally. That's the other part. Like, don't go at this alone.
You can't.
Right? You got to make some phone
calls.
That's an ego.
That's an ego.
Coffee.
That's an ego mindset. I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't need nobody's help. You know, that's an ego thing when you're in your head like that.
And that's twisted reality, because there's no joy in being a martyr.
No.
Right?
No,
like,
don't be a glutton. Don't be a glutton for punishment.
For what? What are you bragging about that you did all that? It's like, I hate the term self-made. It's like, what, did you give birth to yourself too?
Right.
Like, everybody needs somebody. There's no such thing as self-made, folks.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
There's no such thing. Everybody had help. Everybody. You watching, we did, everybody. So what would you say to people that are struggling right now that they can do for 2024? Just little things that they can tweak.
I think the little things is like, you can just write down what's bothering you. You know, start writing down. That's what I'm trying to write down, the anxieties and how to. And then something happens when you put pen to paper, right? And you put the thoughts out of your head and you put them. You can start, and you got to start, and you also just got to start like accomplishing things. If you have goals, you got to move the needle. You got to put in time on it. It's, you know, it sucks because you're going to sacrifice, man. You're going to lose time with, you know, a friend or family or doing something. That's what I've learned, is that I got a lot of personal stuff in my life I'm trying to balance out. I got a job and I got businesses I'm trying to build, and that's a juggling act, right? All in itself. And so it's difficult, right? And but you also, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle here. You've also I'm trying to figure out how to just like give more time to myself and repair, because you got to repair, right? You got to decompress, repair, so you can get back after it. And I'm going hard all the time, and so
you got to take care of yourself.
You got to take care of yourself. So if there's anything that I can say is the things that I'm trying to work on, which is be present. That was something you and I were talking about. That's a difficult
mindfulness.
one. Mindfulness. My brain is always in the future. You know, they say some people they're always regretting the past, and some people are fearing the future. Right. So you're trying to plan. You know, that's the kind of creatures we are. We have feedback loops, and so we're always trying to figure out the future, right? And our brain, that's what makes us. That's what makes us avoid getting hit by cars, right? Because we're anticipating, right? We're always anticipating. So it's just trying to figure out like the balance of things, right? Because there's a good balance to all this that helps you achieve your goals, that helps you achieve getting rest, that helps you achieve spending time with people. And it is a formula. It's a chemistry, right? You have to figure it out, and you have to be consistent about it, right? You have to be consistent about it. That's the thing, is that people are that's the thing that I struggle with too, is consistency, right? I can be persistent, but you got to be consistent on everything, right? You got to have, and you may not always get the results when you want them. That's the other thing.
That's the patience.
The patience part, man. Right? The results, you think, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and the results are going to be this, and it's not what you expect. And so the expectations have to be managed. And that's the difficult part, is you got to manage those expectations.
I totally agree. Great advice, man. And here's the thing. It's a long game, right? It's whether you like it or not. But you know what? At the same time, look how fast time is gone. I mean, 2023, dude, a wrap.
This year was like a flash.
Because it goes quick. I mean, you
Yeah.
already know this, but it seems like to me, like time is getting faster and faster because there's more going on. I remember when the saying was, change is inevitable. Now it's change is constant.
Oh, changes.
It's like change is coming at us all the time. It seems almost like on a daily. So I love that putting to paper, and I also want to say this to you guys that there's a difference between being selfish and being self-full. So selfish is when you only care about yourself. Being self-full is knowing that you have to take care of yourself to take care of others because that's ultimately the goal. Because at the end of the day, life is much more than just the hustle and making money. It's also about purpose, right? And what's your place in the lives of other people? Are you giving more than you're taking in, the giver's gain model? But you have to take care of yourself first. You've heard these analogies, right? The oxygen mask in the plane, right? You got to put it on yourself before you put it on your child. Why is that? Because the child doesn't know to do that. And in order for you not to pass out and put it on your child who doesn't know how to do that, you got to put the mask on yourself first so that you don't pass out and die. I tell you the same thing. Take care of yourself. Are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? You don't have to go to the gym. You can walk. There's a lot of things that you could be doing. You got to move. There is no simple formula. There is no quick fix. There is no pill. And when the pill comes out, don't be surprised if that pill gives you cancer because it's got so many chemicals and craziness in it that yes, you're gonna be the most fit cadaver ever, right? It's old school. Move, watch what you put in, and also watch what you also put in here. Is the last thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, your diet is not just food; it's everything.
It's mental too.
It's mental.
Who are you hanging out with? What kind of information are you absorbing? What are you fixating on? Are you fixating on positivity? I start out my day, listening to podcasts. Whether it's the TED Talk shorts, or 7 Good Minutes. That's on Spotify. You should listen to some of these.
Get that positive information in your head.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, and you want to start to feed that first, and then move on with your day, and then go join forces with good people like Ben, right? And you will see that your life will change. And 2024 won't be just another year that you wrote meaningless goals that you didn't achieve. Make it a lifestyle. Don't make it a diet. Diets don't work. Lifestyles are transforming. So you have a fantastic day. Have a great 2024. And of course, as always, we're here. We're available. You want to go have a cup of coffee with us and be the third person in the next video?
Get at us.
Get at us. You know where to get a hold of me, right? Get a hold of me. We can always have a conversation. I'm always good for just talking things out, whether it's emotional, financial, all the stuff.
Mr. Go-Giver.
Well, that's who we are. That's who we are. Because you know what? At the end of the day, the selfish part is that it makes us feel good as well. So stay straight, get your hustle on, and make sure you collaborate. Have a great day.